I'm going to open it up to Camilo and tell me a little bit about this self-disciplined um, Substack you got going and what you're intending to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-discipline is a space that I open to write my own reflections on me trying to get self-disciplined. That's something that I've been struggling with for a big part of my life. I have, gone through different stages of my life, and during that process, I just, realized that there was like a part of me that was needing some sort of order.
Right.
And that became clearer when my kids were born.
How many
I'm
kids?
a family man.
How old are
um,
your kids? How many kids have you got?
I'm a father of two, with the oldest one being close to 3 years old, and the youngest one is 8 months. So you can imagine, that there's a little bit of craziness in the house. Um, and when you become like a dad for the first time, you just really don't know what to do, right? Like you're just like winging it. So that took a lot of my time. Like I was trying, to like keep doing the things that I care about. I kept wanting to, spend time with my wife. I wanted to, spend time with my friends, and most importantly, dedicate myself to my kids. That was the most important thing. Being able to be there for them as they grow. And I was realizing that how I was carrying my life was not really something that I was, like doing pretty well. I was struggling. I was, like juggling everything, and all of this, ended up being becoming a project that in where I wanted to sort of do a public accountability, like use it as a way that like to cheer myself and like can encourage myself to like stay connected to something, stay engaged to something, and have the help, from everybody around to like basically keep myself back on track, right?
Right.
And as this developed, I started this like realizing that for a long time I was under this idea of discipline that was not something that I was very connected to, was not something that really identified me, and that caused that a lot of like sort of um, extra thinking. Like I realized that my identity was being like shaped by what like the media was showing you as a discipline,
Yeah.
what in the school they educated you under the veil of discipline, and that sort of made the click on me that in reality that's not what I was like feeling identified with, and I wanted to like discover what was discipline for me. So my
Interesting.
writing, yeah.
Yeah.
So my writing started becoming more oriented to that, right? Like discovering what was discipline for me, and with the time, and as I started writing, I realized that a lot of people started feeling identified with like this idea of like discipline, like the traditional discipline, how I call it, being different, like being something that has been kind of being worked along history,
Yeah.
and how like you see all of these influencers telling you, like you are weak if you are not obsessed with your work. You are a loser if you, like don't follow the like my plans, my systems. People sell you systems, sell you templates, and all of that ends with
Aha.
people
Right.
feeling ashamed. You know, feeling ashamed,
Yeah. You're not making the mark. Right.
and like that's kind of how I was feeling like a big part of my life. I was feeling, that I was not fitting. That like I was being like labeled as undisciplined. I was being, feeling that I was not meeting the mark, right? And I started noticing that a lot of people were resonating with that, and I
Right.
started, putting connecting the dots, basically trying to see how philosophy, neuroscience, I'm a software engineer, so my like the sort of contribution there is like a little bit of the systemic thinking,
Right.
um, how all of that connected to like bring a different approach to discipline that actually can help people that are struggling with executive dysfunction, just like me, not to feel the shame of, like being different, right? Like what I like to say is like we are not broken, we are just different.
Right.
So that's kind of how self discipline came to life, and
Got a
how
lot of hearts on that. Yeah, I just saw a whole bunch of hearts spring up when you said that. That's great.
thank you
And
to
by
all
the
the
way,
audience.
I just noticed that you're also number 97 rising in philosophy right now.
Yeah,
You can
like
see that.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, occasionally I'm up there too on philosophy, believe it or not. I've been 91 and 95, but quickly
Really?
drop off of it. So I don't know. I don't know what causes that to happen, but I'm very happy to see you're up there at 97 in philosophy. So yeah, so you're doing this and yeah, you're marketing it to people to as well or sharing it with people or you got a community going. Is that it?
Yeah. So what it started as like as a documentation of my journey, right? It
Hmm.
started evolving into the documentation of the experience of different people in the community.
You tell
I
that story. Yeah.
exactly. I created a series called "What Is Your Purpose?" that tries
Hmm.
to tell a little bit about the story of like people that I've been connecting with within the community. I give them
Yeah.
the spotlight to share what motivates them, because part of what I like to call adaptable discipline, which is the framework that I write my reflections around now, um,
Good.
it uses like one of the pillars that define that is called purpose, which is essentially the clarity that we need
Hmm.
in order to actually get back on track faster. Because for me, the idea of discipline is not about pushing through or mere willpower, but for me, the idea of discipline and the idea that I'm trying to spread around is that discipline shouldn't be something punitive, but should be something that leads us always back on track.
Get you
And
aligned. I see that in your post here on number 9. So I'm scrolling through that as we're talking.
exactly, that you're aligned. So the idea is that discipline shouldn't be, like something that forces you to be there, but that if you drift, that gets you back there every single time and every time faster. That's the whole idea. So having clarity of your path, right, is very important because that's what gives you direction. So this series is the idea. The idea of this is to share how different authors have that clarity, or are like it's sort of served like an exercise for some authors, like to actually really ask themselves why are they doing this. Some of them have more clarity than others, and that's kind of the fun within these interactions that have been created as
Yeah.
part of the series.
I love your
So
subtitle to this, by the way, a calm alternative to hustle.
yeah,
Right?
thank you. That's kind of what all of this is about. Like I'm trying to go a little bit against the stream here, trying to like hustle is important. Hustle is like something that we we should like keep doing, right? But if you hustle without like a direction, if you hustle without resting, if you don't if you're doing it just for the sake of doing it, that's not really discipline. That's just like burning yourself out.
Right. Right. And I like your alignment tracker here. I'm looking at your shop now on your buy me a coffee page. So, yeah, I encourage everybody to go out there and look at what he's doing because I think it can really have value for people. And that's one of the things I try to draw out of my guests here on Harrowings podcast is how we can amplify your signal through the noise of cyberspace because it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle, right? And I'm trying to make sure that those voices that connect to me do get that amplification, get a little boost out of that, and vice versa. That's always nice. Um, when you're talking about discipline, I donned this hat probably out of just the fact it was the closest one to grab, but I don't know if you can see the symbol on it. This people mistake for the Smithsonian symbol quite a bit here in DC, where I live, but it's actually Lark's Tongues and Aspics 50th anniversary. And the person behind that is a band leader of a band called King Crimson. And he says, Robert Fripp, his sister actually does a lot of these motivational speaking tours as well with Robert talking about discipline. He had a group he was going to pull together and they're going to call it Discipline. A couple of
Oh,
Americans and a couple of Brits. He's a Brit. And They ended up not calling it that. They ended up just releasing an album called Discipline about 1981, before you were even born. Yeah, I think it was 81 that that came out. And his thing is, what he says is very simple. And I think this is kind of along the lines of what you were saying about when you found yourself a little bit at loose ends, right?
Yeah.
Actually, here it is. Found the book. I was wondering where it was. This is the Guitar Circle. It's
Oh,
called. Whoops, there's the Guitar Circle. And it's got this nice little jacket. And inside of it
it's
has this
beautiful.
little statement right here. And I'll read it to you. From Robert Fripp in 21st of January 2020 at Bredenborough, Middle England. Tuesday. A Tuesday. Without a practice. Without a practice, without a discipline, life is pretty much a series of contingent events, moving from one situation to another, jumping from one mess to another, or simply sleeping through it all. With a practice, we develop a structure of acting in the world within which we construct an interior architecture, moving to realize what we are uniquely born to achieve. And I think that's really the thing that's missing from a lot of people's lives is that feeling of structure of having an inner architecture through which you engage with the world and you
Yeah.
choose your responses to the world. You know, there was are you familiar at all with Viktor Frankl? He was the founder of logotherapy and Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
Big book. He came out of the Holocaust. You're familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
familiar with it. I had to
Yeah.
read it when I was in school.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things he says is a man, everything can be taken from a person, man,
Yeah.
woman, whatever. But the one thing that cannot be taken from you is your choice of how to respond to what happens. I've been doing a thing called a 30-day mental challenge from Mitch Horowitz. I don't know if you've run into Mitch Horowitz yet.
Not yet.
Familiar? He's out on Substack, and I highly recommend Mitch. Um, if you watch this series called Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd, Mitch is quite often one of the talking heads, talking about the unbelievable stuff. He's a really interesting guy. And what he ended up doing for me was this mental challenge in which I began to think of everything as happening in my life, happening for me, not to me.
Right.
And if it did seem to happen to me, it was happening for me. It's like I also follow a band called the Wooten Brothers. That's consists of a very famous bassist, Vernon Wooten. Oh no, Victor Wooten.
Oh,
The
I
music
read a book
lesson.
from him.
You've heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a tune called Sweat, and there's a great line in it that I love very much, which is sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Actually, Victor Gooden has a really good book called The Guitar Lesson, I think is the
It's the music
or
lesson.
music lesson.
And then a sequel, The Spirit of Music, which is also around here somewhere.
Oh, I
You
haven't
know,
read that one.
I'll tell you a funny story. I went to see them at the Pearl Street Warehouse here in DC, which is a very small club. And I had the VIP access, so we got the meet and greet thing going on. And I went with my friend Lance, who was, we're all from Williamsburg, Virginia, right? Pipe and drum background. And Victor and his brothers grew up in Denby, Virginia, which is a little neighborhood in Newport News. It's very close up to Williamsburg. It's like the closest part of Newport News to Williamsburg. And during the Wooten brothers, formative years, they moved into Denby, and Victor did most of his high school there. And his girlfriend was like major competition for my friend Lance for the drum chair at state competitions, and the jazz orchestra and things like that. So, Jenny was her name. And so when I walked up to them to do our little meet and greet photograph or whatever, Victor immediately went to Lance and held out his hand and said, I know you, right? You're a drummer, right? It was like a nice moment. And
Wow.
and Lance had pictures of the Wooten brothers on his phone in their Busch Gardens garb because Busch Gardens, the old country, a festival park kind of thing, roller coaster park near Williamsburg, had a country band. And initially, the Wooten brothers were in the country band, right?
Really?
They were the heart of the country band. They were a big draw because they're really talented, even as youngsters. And so Lance had this picture on his phone. He took it up to the stage when Victor was talking about like their time learning music there and how much they learned by being, the Busch Gardens country band. And Victor took the phone and managed to cast it up onto the big screens in the club for everyone to see, which was really a nice moment. Lance actually replaced Victor's brother, Roy, as the drummer in the country band. So we had that connection. And I just love having those little being able to web it in with other people. So you're right.
Yeah.
Victor's been really big about the discipline, and his brother, they call the teacher,
Mhm.
Reggie Wooten. He gives his phone number out. You can just call him up and have a conversation with Reggie anytime you want. I need to
Really.
do that, actually. I need to get on the phone and call him. I did have him on a little thing that I was trying to start another podcast with a friend. It was going to be called Amplified Healing, and it was largely going to be focused on music and musicians and repetitive stress injuries and things like that, because my other friend was a physical therapist, right? And you have to have a real discipline to doing anything like that, particularly that's physical and creative. And if you don't honor that body, you know, you can get wrecked. So if
Yeah.
you've got to balance raising your kids and then
Funny.
take it from there,
Yeah.
how are you
I,
doing?
I think, well, nowadays it has become a little bit easier for me to, balance things. I think I have the base. I think I have the base
Uh-huh.
to do better, you know, to balance like the physical part, like the mental part.
Yeah.
Um, in the past, I hadn't, taken well care of myself. Like I have to admit that, like I,
Yeah.
being young
Okay.
especially, I think when we're young, sometimes we underestimate our health a little bit. We are underestimate, like we think that we're gonna be in the same body forever, right? And that's something that um, I like. Thankfully, I'm still sort of young enough to like realize that the impact that like some of my decisions have had on my body.
Yeah.
Now that I have kids, it's more deliberate, right? Like I'm making decisions more deliberately because I want to be there for them. So this
Right.
whole change in my discipline, in my journey has helped me to see things differently, right? Like with regards to my body, like to have that motivation, that clarity that I was talking about,
Sure.
has given me more of that clarity to like take care better of myself, to make better decisions. Not only with regards to like for instance what we eat or how we go, how much exercise do we do, but for instance, um, making better decisions with regards to my sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to balance, right? Life balance.
Exactly, and there are other things that like are related. For instance, like mental health is directly related to your physical health, how you respond to things. Your body sometimes starts somatizing things when you are like
Symptom.
under alert.
Yeah.
So it's important that sometimes you do an internal check-in, like you need to check on yourself and
Yep.
see how things are going, so you can also maybe lower the intensity like that happening inside, find the right methods that work to yourself to do that, and actually be more present for yourself and for your family, right? So
Right.
that's kind of how has been helping me like kind of hold the fort right now, in being more present for my kids. Like I'm proud to say that now I can spend like the rest of my day with my kids after work.
Good.
Like I have this tendency of like after work, we had a lot of problems like disconnecting from work. So you will
Yeah.
know, like I will be with my wife, I will be with my kids, and still it will be hard for me, to like disconnect from what's happening at work. So now that I have been in this journey, it has
Yeah.
been easier for me to like set those things aside, be fully present, and make better decisions both in like the health aspect, the family aspect, and myself aspect.
That is gonna make such a difference for your kids, and they're so young at 3 and 8 months, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna make a huge difference. When my folks were coming up, it was a different world, and I don't have kids of my own, but I'll tell you what I do try to send a kid to camp every year. I don't know what kid it is, but I send enough to a scholarship fund for a particular camp out in California so this a kid can go to camp. I don't know And that's my way of dealing with that. On top of that, we just did our estate planning, and I highly recommend people do their estate planning ahead of time. I'm 62 now. I've been putting it off for a while. My people are generally very long lived, but anything could happen anytime, so you got to be
Yeah.
careful. And think about what you're going to leave behind. We're going to leave our stuff to half of it to Mr. Rogers Institute, Fred Rogers Institute. I don't know if you're
Nice.
familiar with Mr. Rogers and his work, but
Yes.
most people are. And I really have a lot of attachment to that. My wife's from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, where Mr. Rogers also came from.
Oh,
And
really?
then we're also sending the rest to Seva. I've got books sliding off that mountain of books around me. Um, so, Seva is an organization that is a Sanskrit word for service. And they came about, I'll just steal a couple of minutes from you, maybe only one more. Because I do want to be sensitive to your time. We've got till 7:30, and it's 8 minutes away. It's been a lot of
I think I
information.
think a little bit. I think a little bit longer. So no problem.
Well, if you'd like to, that's fine. Um, I can do it too, and we can always come back again. We can make a few of
Yeah,
these.
we like
Like,
definitely. This is fun, so we
let me
can
tell you
definitely
about
do that.
Saba a little bit, though. They restore eyesight to the needlessly blind, and they came out of the initiative that had eradicated smallpox, and they got together the people who were involved with that and said, "Okay, what are we going to tackle next? We've got rid of smallpox, so now we can attack something else." And they thought needless blindness was the thing to really get at, because somebody who's in the third world and gets cataracts that could easily be solved with a $50 operation becomes a tremendous burden to the community and themselves, and it's just tragic, but it could be eliminated. And they've so far, last I checked, they were over 5 million people had been
Really
sight restored. So I can't think of anything
good to know.
giving eyesight to the blind.
Wow, that's an amazing milestone, though. Like to help
Yeah.
that many people.
Yeah. And it came out of these really wacky people at the same time. The people who
Right.
eradicated smallpox were very serious, but the ripple effects that came out of different threads to make that happen just go into the history. I don't have time to really take up your time with it, because we're really looking at self-discipline, a calm alternative to hustle. And you've got a weekly alignment tracker that you're offering to people there. I think that's a really good gift. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and the other initiatives you have going on? I'll give
Yeah,
you
yeah,
the last
absolutely.
6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to, like take at least a minute to thank you for like
Oh,
the
sure.
time here.
Pleasure.
Like I appreciate like the space that you open. And yes, amplifying, like
Yeah.
the voices of others is like something that I also care about a lot. So,
It's what
you know,
pipers do. We amplify signal through the noise.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my own pipe then. Uh, I
Blow my
want
own
to. I
horn
want
if I had
to.
it.
Yeah, I also part of my goal here is to not only be one voice talking about this, but
Mhm.
amplify the voices of others. So what I try to do in self discipline right now is in all the initiatives that I have is, well, one of them is the series that I was commenting to you, right?
Right.
What's purpose? I hope at some point I can have you there also writing, about it. Um,
Okay.
I collaborate with different authors. Thankfully, I have had a lot of authors showing interest, so the line
Good.
is long there.
Excellent.
Um, and other initiatives is I recently opened up a website for to spread the word about the framework that I developed as part of this whole initiative. It's called Adaptable Discipline, and the idea of it is to just show you a different way to do discipline, to develop discipline. That goes a little bit against to what the traditional discipline tells you, and you can find it in www.adaptable-discipline.com. And if you have any questions, you can always, reach out to me in private message. But that's the main initiative that I've been working apart from self-discipline now, and just leave people invited to embrace this new way of doing discipline, because I think it's more sustainable than just like working your back out and end up, burn out in the process.
Right. I'm just reading some of your other 4 days ago posts you put up there. And how did you learn to treat yourself with grace is one of the headings. How did you learn to treat yourself with grace? I think you've talked about it a little bit already, but you want to just nail that question?
Yeah, I think, well, as I was telling you, right, like my own upbringings, like led me to feel not the best about myself.
Right.
When I couldn't, complete tasks, uh, I would be considered unreliable sometimes, and I didn't really want to carry that stigma, and I wanted to change things, right?
Right.
So all of that ended up with me, like around 2019. Well, I moved to the US from Chile. I'm originally from Chile. I moved to Chile to the US in 2016. So like
2016. Okay.
yeah, like almost 10 years ago. That's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
uh, like 3 years here. I'm still kind of finding my way here, trying to like develop a life here, and I was feeling that many things were changing, a lot of things were happening, and I was feeling like inside I was not feeling the best. And I started, having panic attacks, and I decided to do therapy. Like long story short, and therapy actually was what helped me to find like a better routing, like a better ground for my own thoughts.
Wonderful.
Like to see myself from like not with my own eyes, but like looking myself as an like as an external observer, and
Yeah.
treat myself I would treat a friend. And like that was kind of the not the start of my journey, but like the start of like my self awareness, my self discovery, and that led to have all of these reflections that has culminated on like the articles that you see around. I think vulnerability is one of the most important pieces of social connection and how we can learn from each other. So I've been learning to be more vulnerable because that also helps me be more grateful with myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and, being able to watch yourself as an observer, I love that. I love that image. I like to think of myself as sitting in my cinema of consciousness, and I watch myself as a performer on stage with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune being visited upon me, and the angels would weep if they only knew how I suffer. And meanwhile, I'm kind of sitting back there saying, "Yeah, okay." And my wife too, she's good at, doing the eye roll. So she keeps me in check and having humor.
Yeah.
We're laughing about it now. So I have my Substack is aligned to philosophy with a second category of humor, although I'm not sure I've been as funny as I could be. I'm walking around the streets a lot with my camera facing out, talking about what I'm seeing in the passing show.
Right.
Everybody is transient. We're only here for a brief blip of geological time.
Yeah.
What are we doing with our lives? I've been spending mine, as a wage slave as of sorts, and then suddenly I was set free from that August 2nd of last year. So I founded the, Harold B. Gill Foundation to steward my father's legacy, which is all around me. Here's a here's a lovely thing he, left for me. It's, I don't know if you can see it there, what I read.
Uh,
So it goes back and, starting in March 2008 up until just before his death in 2024, listing the books, just the book and the title,
yeah.
and maybe a few notes about it, who the author was, and his thoughts about it. The first one was Castle in the Swamp by Edison Marshall. Long descriptive passages interrupt narrative. That's as much as he said about it. But I can actually then, go back and read everything my father had read between 2008 and 2024, which is a lovely
No?
gift he left behind. There were so many things, and I'm trying to be a good steward of his legacy. He was a research historian, and he was trying to reanimate the people of 18th century Williamsburg, my hometown, by going through their account books, going through their court records. He was a historian of the inarticulate. And he was big into primary documentation. So what I do when I'm going out on the street filming, I'm watching the passing show and I'm developing primary documentation for historians of the future. This is the way I look at
Mm,
it. And maybe a
keeping the
little bit
legacy.
like, I don't know. But, it could be. And
Yeah.
AI. may actually get in there and use this video we're producing between the two of us. We never can tell what's going to happen with the future. But if we don't make our shot, we're going to miss it. We miss 100% of the shots we don't take. That's the old Wayne Gretzky line, right? It's a hockey player. For those of you who don't know Hal Gill, the hockey player, I am not him. But there is a Harold Peterson Gill III. I'm Harold Bledsoe Gill III. We're 10 years apart, but we weigh the same. He happens to be 6'7". I'm only 6'2". So I need to work on that. I don't need to be weighing the same as some 6'7" hockey halfback. Anyhow, it's been delightful talking with you. Do you have some parting words you want to give us to sort of wrap
Again,
things up?
yeah, again, thank you for the opportunity. I
My
think,
pleasure.
and I hope next time, we can have a little bit more of time. Uh, I, I really enjoyed the conversation. Very nice to, meet you, face to face right now.
Sure.
Uh, and leave everybody invited, to check this new approach out. And if you like it, if you think it can help you or somebody else, please share it, because I think more than like I'm just the messenger here. I want the message to get spread. So
That's what I am too.
yeah,
I'm a messenger. Yeah, I'm an amplifier.
exactly.
It's just like if you have this bass guitar here, it's not going to make much sound. You got to hook it up to an amplifier.
Exactly, exactly. So that's what we are, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And we're going to amplify the signal through the noise a little bit. We'll send this out onto YouTube. It'll go out into all kinds of different directions, provided we do the right things as we close up. When I hit end, it'll say on your end too, I think it'll have a little thing there to say publish immediately. And when we hit that button, it should go. I had a conversation with my old sergeant major yesterday and got lost. I don't know where it is, but we're going to try to get together on Monday morning, I think, again, before he has the stitches out of his foot. He's mountain climber, mountain biker, like you wouldn't believe, this guy. And I'm really looking forward to talking to him. We just lost one of us recently, Pfeiffer, Dylan Pritchett, who was a storyteller, African American guy. He would do these storytelling things with the public, and he was big at, had a big role at getting the African American program started in Colonial Williamsburg at Monticello. I don't know if you know about Monticello, but that's the home of Thomas Jefferson, who wrote our Declaration of Independence. So hopefully we'll get back to some of our basic, human rights things in this country as well. You came from Chile in 2016. Have you become a U.S. citizen now, too?
the process, I will say.
You're in the
Yeah.
process? Good. Well, welcome. And I do think we are a huge melting pot, and our diversity is really important to us. And I do love the fact we have people from other cultures who have other perspectives. I'd like to hear more about what your life was like growing up and how it was in Chile. Because after all, the only thing I know about Chile really is Pinochet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes,
don't know a lot else.
yeah.
So
Like
we
like
learned a lot
life
from
has
each
changed
other.
a lot since that there. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, thank you again, Camilo. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'll let you go.
Like it. Thank you so much. Thanks
Hope you have a
everybody.
great evening.
Yeah, you
And
too.
everybody's out there, send your comments, send your whatever. Go out and check out Self-Disciplined, because I think there's a lot of value out here for you.
Mhm.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.